everybody. Today I'm going to discuss Roth conversions. This topic can be generalized to Roth contributions, but I'm going to stick to conversions today. I find them to be one of the most fascinating, complex, and misunderstood components of financial planning. Unfortunately, I also think far too many people oversimplify decisions around Roth conversions. I think you have to be careful. For example, I run into a lot of accountants that want to minimize taxes this year. This can effectively hand you a tax hand grenade down the road in retirement. There's also a lot of bad logic floating around about paying fewer taxes today than more taxes later. That involves the time value of money, but you have to remember the money that you would use to pay the tax bill should grow in the interim as well. I also know there's a lot of Roth calculators out there on the internet and what have you. These tend to make the Roth calculation in a vacuum with just 2 or 3 inputs. I view these as novelties or gimmicks. I would never base decisions on these online calculators. There are a lot of other details that go into optimizing Roth conversions. So that brings me to an important point. I truly believe that Roth decisions need to be optimized. Now, I know that's a rather difficult word or a complex word for a lot of people, but the basic idea is that we don't just want to take a guess on what tax bracket or level we do a Roth conversion or how many. There's a lot of different factors that go into your retirement planning, and I'm going to discuss a lot of these today. Many people still confidently talk about these things. I know accountants and financial planners just look at the rate of tax that you pay on a conversion, but there is much, much more, as you're going to see in this video. I recently listened to a podcast from one of the most highly respected financial planners in the country, and his guest, he was just incredibly confident in stating this, but the host, the planner that's really the one that I respect, stepped in and politely injected some other relevant variables. There's also some academic publications or literature on this, and I just think it falls far short of the rigor or comprehensive analysis that's required. And still yet, there's other people out there, some CPAs that are all over the media, and they talk about Roth conversions like they're a silver bullet. Just do Roth conversions, convert everything. I think they're a bit overzealous. I think they're actually zealots. You know, they don't really, it's sort of a data-less or analysis-less conclusion that they come to. Some people just like to sound smart and mention Roth conversions too. So you just have to be really careful when you're going to start considering making Roth conversions. There's a lot that go into them. Hopefully this video is going to help illuminate a lot of those factors that you might not have been aware of before. So enough with my criticism and background. Let's get into it. I'm first going to describe what a Roth conversion is, and then I'm going to go into the various factors that are related to making Roth conversions. So, what is a Roth conversion? To understand what a Roth conversion is, let's first consider pre-tax accounts. So those are accounts like 401ks, 403bs, IRAs. This is money we have not paid taxes on yet, so that's why we call it pre-tax money. Most people, perhaps most people, call them tax-deferred accounts. Well, the first option we have with pre-tax money is to distribute it. We just take the money out, we put it in our bank account, a brokerage account, but we take the money out of the pre-tax account and we have to pay taxes on that. So that means that money is now exposed to all sorts of taxes. Taxes on the dividends, taxes on the interest. If we buy and sell something, make a profit, we're going to have taxes on the capital gains. Instead of distributing the money into a taxable account, we can also convert it into a Roth account. That is, we're going to move it into another type of post-tax account, but now instead of that being a taxable account, we move it into a Roth retirement account. And investments in here are going to be able to grow tax-free, so there's no taxes on those dividends, interest, and capital gains, but you're also going to be able to distribute it tax-free when you take it out, if you're ultimately, when you do want to spend it or when you have to take the money out. But again, when you're taking money out of the pre-tax account and moving it into a Roth account, you are going to pay taxes. Now, there is a third choice, and this one is qualified charitable distribution. You also have the option when you reach a certain age to be able to take money out of a pre-tax account, an IRA in particular, and give it to a charity. This can help you fulfill a required minimum distribution, but it can also eliminate the taxes on that distribution. Mind you, you are giving that money away. So those are the three basic options you have with pre-tax money. You can distribute it, put it into a Roth account, both ways you're going to have to pay taxes, but you can also give the money away, donate it to a charity, and not pay taxes on it as well. So now let's consider the various factors that are relevant to making Roth conversions. There's a lot of these different factors. I'm going to go over a lot of them today anyway. And I like to break it down into what it means in terms of taxes today, and then what it means for taxes down the line. So I break it up into, say, the immediate impact and say the next 0 to 5 years. What about the intermediate effects beyond there up until the end of your life, but also after your retirement, when this money might go to your heirs. So there's a lot of different factors. I've listed them here, but let me go ahead and start jumping into them individually. The first factor we're going to look at are the taxes paid on a Roth conversion. So when you convert money, when you take it out of an IRA, for example, and move it into a Roth IRA, you are going to pay taxes. So since you're putting it into a Roth account, and there can be limits about how much time, 5-year limits about how much time you have before you can use that money, you are voluntarily paying taxes on money that you don't plan to spend right now. So that can rub some people the wrong way, saying, hey, why am I writing this check to the IRS? But on the other hand, it can save you a lot of money. We're going to discuss a lot of those factors in a moment. But the basic idea is that we are effectively front-loading or bringing forward some of the taxes that we're eventually going to have to pay on pre-tax money. And one way to look at this is to kind of look at if I hit the fast forward button, what impact does this have on your overall taxes? In the one case, when you don't do Roth conversions, you just sort of sit on your hands and wait until you're effectively forced to take money out of your pre-tax accounts. Here's what a potential tax profile could look like. You'll see that a lot of those taxes are backloaded. On the other hand, if we systematically do some Roth conversions up front, we're going to be pulling some of those taxes forward, and perhaps we're going to be lowering some of the tax brackets with which we're hitting the rate that we're going to be paying in taxes on that money. The next factor I'm going to discuss here is the taxation of your Social Security benefits. Pre-tax money interacts with the tax on your Social Security benefits because, if you didn't know it, your Social Security benefits can be taxable based on a certain amount of other income you have coming in from other sources, including pre-tax accounts. There's a formula for that. Here it is, but the basic idea is that the more income you have, which could be taxable income from pre-tax accounts being distributed, the more of your Social Security benefits are going to be taxable. Roth conversions can lower the future levels of income that you have and thus lower Social Security taxes down the road. So in some cases, it might make sense to bite the bullet, pay some taxes up front in order to free up or reduce the taxes on your Social Security benefits down the road. This impacts a wide range of people with Social Security benefits. For some people, this is going to be a huge tax saver. For others that have significant income, say from a pension or other sources, they're just sort of stuck having too much income, a first world problem for sure. But the idea is that other income forces them into a place where their Social Security benefits are simply going to be maximally taxable. And that's basically saying that 85% of their Social Security benefits are going to be taxable. The third factor we're going to discuss here is the taxation of your capital gains and qualified dividends. This factor is very similar to your Social Security benefits in that the more income you have, the more taxable ordinary income you have, for example, from pre-tax accounts, the more of your capital gains could be pushed up into the taxable bracket. If you didn't already know it, there is actually a very generous, I think it's very generous, 0% capital gains bracket for capital gains. However, the more income you have from other sources, because capital gains and dividends are going to stack on top of the ordinary income, that ordinary income can push your capital gains up, or more of them, into taxable territory. So the basic idea is similar to Social Security. It might be possible to bite the bullet today and pay some higher taxes or pay some taxes up front in order to lower taxes down the road and perhaps lower future taxes on your capital gains as you go through the rest of your retirement. The fourth factor is that Roth conversions can impact the amount of capital gains, dividends, and interest you have exposed to taxes. So if you think about your taxable accounts, every time you do a Roth conversion, in most cases it makes the most sense to use your taxable funds to pay the taxes for those Roth conversion bills. And by doing so, you're effectively reducing the size of your taxable accounts. So what that means is down the road, if you've done a lot of Roth conversions, you've significantly reduced the size of your taxable accounts. That means there's going to be less taxable money that's exposed to capital gains, dividends, and interest taxes on those items. The fifth factor is almost identical to the fourth, net investment income tax. This is a tax when you have a certain level of investment income, it gets an additional tax called the net investment income tax, and that applies to taxes related to your taxable accounts, dividends, interest, so forth. And by doing Roth conversions and reducing the size of those taxable accounts, you can reduce the amount of net investment income and hence net investment income tax. Factor number 6 is one of the most surprising, or at least it catches the most people off guard. We already know that Roth conversions can affect your taxes on ordinary income taxes. We're paying taxes on that money, and we might be crawling into higher tax brackets to pay those Roth conversion tax bills, but we might be buying ourselves into lower tax brackets down the road. We also looked at how that can impact Social Security and capital gains taxes, but there is yet another dimension related to your Medicare, and that is Irma, your income-related monthly adjustment amount. The bottom line is that the more income you have from other sources, in particular, it's your modified adjusted gross income. The more modified adjusted gross income you have, the more potential surcharges, higher premiums you could pay for your Medicare. This is one that catches a lot of people off guard. They get a notice in the mail instructing them that their premium is going up from, say, $175 to as much as $550 or more. And when there are two people in a couple, when there are two people on Medicare, that can double the impact that this has. So when we think about how Roth conversions can factor in here, the basic idea is that by doing Roth conversions, again, we might be pushing ourselves into a higher modified adjusted gross income level and paying higher IRMAs up front, but we might be buying ourselves into lower IRMA brackets down the road throughout the rest of our retirement. Factor number 7 is the additional tax shielding you get inside of Roth accounts. When you have money in pre-tax accounts, it is eventually forced out via RMDs, required minimum distributions. And when you take a required minimum distribution, you are taking that money and moving it out into the taxable world. Roth IRAs do not have RMDs. That money can stay in there for as long as you and your spouse, if you have one, is alive. Moreover, it might be able to stay in there for another 5 or 10 years after you pass. The basic idea is that by not having required minimum distributions, Roth accounts can extend the tax shielding and avoid more taxes on the dividends, capital gains, and interest that would otherwise occur if that money was eventually pushed out into the taxable world. Factor number 8 is the increased flexibility you have with your withdrawal strategies. As a reminder, withdrawal strategies are the strategies we use to pull money out of specific accounts at specific times down the road in retirement in order to bend and duck the various different taxes and costs. So we're looking at your ordinary income tax brackets, we're looking at the taxes on your dividends and capital gains, we're looking at the impact your other income has on Social Security and also your IRMA, your Medicare surcharges. If you happen to find yourself at the top of one or more of these thresholds and you need a few extra dollars for whatever purpose, if you take that money out of a pre-tax account or a taxable account, it might push you across the threshold, one or more of those thresholds. However, having more Roth money in the background gives you an ace up your sleeve. When you take that money out and use it for whatever purpose, that money is effectively invisible to the IRS and all of these different taxes and costs. To be sure, I have not covered all of the factors that are related to Roth conversion decisions. There are many taxes and costs that can take dollars out of your pockets during retirement: income taxes, capital gains, Social Security, Irma, net investment income tax, and so forth. The idea is that we want to minimize all of these in aggregate. We don't want to just isolate one of these in a vacuum, try to minimize it, because what happens is we end up playing a game of whack-a-mole. You knock one down, it pops up somewhere else. We want to minimize all of these in total so that we can end up with the best after-tax, after-cost performance for your particular retirement situation. As a financial planner, I have to ask some big picture questions, and I have to think about what are the relevant factors that drive a lot of the factors I just discussed today in this video. Some of those include: how much money are we going to need to take out during retirement? In other words, if we know we're going to be forcing ourselves, we're going to need to take a certain amount of income out of our accounts, we have to plan for that, and we might as well do it in a sensible fashion to minimize our taxes. How much capacity do we have in our various tax brackets and the relevant thresholds across all the dimensions that I highlighted today? What about our heirs' tax brackets? What if we use other strategies to push down money down to the next generation so that it goes through their tax brackets? What if we can give them money with a step up in cost basis? And how do we use those Roth conversions within our withdrawal strategies to optimize all of these factors? Balancing all of these factors and minimizing their impact requires a very complex analysis. The word for that is optimization. I'm not going to go into that today, except for to say the basic idea is that when we decide on these types of decisions around Roth conversions, even Social Security, withdrawal strategies, and so forth, instead of being inputs into the software that we use to map out your retirement, these are actually outputs. These are actually the result of running an optimization so that we know that it has holistically taken into account all of these different factors. Now, I know I've covered a lot of material today and I've done it relatively quickly, but even at doing it the pace I did it, I know that this video is on the longer side. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you taking the time to learn about this. If you'd like to learn more, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I've tried to make it as easy as possible to schedule a free consultation. You just pop on to my website, click on the button for a free consultation, and then you can schedule it directly.